if she felt pretty in it and it appears that she felt, that she looked nice, like, quite frankly, like, who am I to be like, well, I didn't like the satin. I don't like the black velvet cape that looks like grim death, maybe I just need to ease up, but I'll tell you where I'm not willing to ease up. On this theme of the lack of creativity, I don't know where I was, but for 3 weeks I've somehow missed this story. Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Tia Denise, and there's a lot of things that happened over the weekend, but the one thing that I've got to talk to you about today is Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle came out in a dress that has divided us all, and so let's get into it. We're going to talk the dress, we're talking the shoes, we're talking hair and makeup, we're talking accessories. What was the plan for this? Meghan was attending a charity gala called the 15% Pledge. Now, this gala she attended, not surprisingly, alone. And I find it extraordinarily strange that one would go to a big charity event alone when your husband doesn't have a high-powered job that he has any excuse to go away to and leave you by yourself so frequently. It's like if Harry was some big lawyer, or if he was a doctor, or he was moving and shaking with the powerful elites and he had things to do and places to be, and that would be one thing. You could understand, but we all know he's smoking weed with a hacky sack in the backyard. Why can't he ever dress himself to come? Somehow he found the time on Remembrance Day weekend to go to that charity event with her and then hustle on over to the Kardashians and hang out with them, since he's such a rabid fan of celebrity, as we know, both from his own mouth and from all of the things we've seen him do throughout the years. This is a person who has been quite enchanted by celebrity, so he could bestir himself for that. But this was like a D-list celebrity thing, so I don't think he was too enthralled. Now, the 15% Pledge Gala this evening was in honor of Beyonce's mother. And this 15% refers to the fact that the American population is 15% black. So this charity event looks to uplift and uphold the endeavors and the pursuits of black culture. Okay, well, why they invited Meghan, I don't know. She's paler than the moon, but she took it upon herself to finally dress herself. And this is the thing. I want to start out with the positives, okay? Let's start out with the positives. I will say that I really liked the mint green and sort of the Art Deco look of the event. I liked the staging for it. The tables are really beautiful. The flower arrangements were really lovely. I mean, I thought it was really pretty. As far as all the pictures I saw, what I really hate, and this is really dumb. I mean, who cares? But I really despise when you see people on the red carpet and the background is just a bunch of advertisements for the people who funded it. I just don't find that to be really pretty. So all of the pictures that came out of it, as far as the background and everything go, I think it made for a lot of really pretty pictures. I liked the set design. I liked the thoughtful details that went into making this a really beautiful event. So kudos to the people who are in charge of that. The party planners did a great job. Let's talk about the dress. The dress, okay. As you know, I am so tired of seeing Meghan in monochromatic shirts and pants suits that to see her in something else, a dress, was really refreshing. I will say I felt initially refreshed at some elegance from Meghan. I know she's always kind of got this what I imagine she considers to be sort of chic vibes going on with her monochromatic silk shirts and her pants and all this. But I think for the rest of us, we'd like to see her personality come out in her clothes, maybe. But honestly, she is giving us her personality when she wears all of her beige, because she doesn't have a creative bone in her body, as we'll discuss later in this segment. Her creativity is lacking. All she knows how to do is rip off other people. And so she's seen other people do this sort of, sleek hair, stud earrings, silk blouse, and pants. And immediately she's just the simpleness of that palette means elegance. The simpleness of that look means elegance, because there's not a lot to clutter it or whatever. That's elegant. But let me put forth in front of you some of these super interesting outfits that our beloved Princess Catherine wears. And we are feeling free with patterns. We are feeling free with colors. We are feeling free with beautiful details. I think the thing is that I can understand wanting to strip down an outfit from a lot of unnecessary jewelry, accessories, and foolishness. But there is nothing more elegant than a super beautiful, well-tailored detail on a shirt, on a skirt, on a coat. That's what says elegance. It's like those little details. It's not the absence of detail. It's the thoughtfulness of the detail, right? And so I feel like that's something that like Megan just doesn't understand. Like she cannot comprehend how to produce elegance without diminishing everything in the process by just stripping it down and being super bland. So there was a part of me that was excited to see her in something that wasn't pants and a silk shirt, but she cannot stray far from the things that make her heart feel safe. Because here we were in what everyone is describing as an oyster colored dress. I think that's an interesting elevated sort of way to say it's an oyster colored dress. Other people have more blatantly put it as baby pink. It really depends on the lighting. Some of the lighting, it is kind of a more like creamy beigey color, and other pictures I've seen are more saturated and it's more pink. I do think, I don't know what the true color was. It's very difficult to tell from where we're at. You know, was it a pink colored dress or was it an oyster colored dress? I do think the oyster is more elegant, but the color really is not a good color on her. And this is the thing. The tones in Megan's skin, like, let her wear color. She could wear so many beautiful colors. It would look really pretty on her. Like, she doesn't always need to go for these bland shades. It's just unfortunate that she always veers away from color, because I think she has great permission in her skin tones to wear all kinds of color. Anyway, she comes in this dress that, let's just talk about construction here, okay? Ill-fitting is the kindest way to say it. What is up with this bodice? I'm telling you right now, the shape does absolutely zilch for the girl. Her bust line is nothing to make mention of, you know, so of course, you know, doing a plunging neckline or even something that would, you know, boost the girls up a bit. I mean, there's nothing really to work with there, so she can't highlight that part of her physique, which is fine. You know, I can understand the modesty of wanting to cover up that area. But this dress, because it's strapless, it does draw and it's strapless with this black piping. So of course it draws your eyes to this area of her body that is just not especially intriguing, you know, so there's no point to highlight that. Also, it makes her short torso already look so much shorter, because we have this really strange waistline. And it's like, what's going on with the gathered fabric here? It seems like there's an unfinished detail that was supposed to happen here. Like, were we going to put in some kind of sash? Were we going to put in some kind of a belt? It just feels like some kind of tailoring mistake happened here at the waistline. Unfortunate look. The fabric also is quite heavy and holds a wrinkle, and it's the same issue she had with her wedding dress. Whatever fabric this is that she loves to lean into for her elegant looks is not one that moves well with her body. I feel like if we had like a more swishy skirt, something a little bit more forgiving, I think it would help to produce the illusion that she had more of a figure than she does. You know, and look, we're not all built like Marilyn Monroe, okay? And so there's nothing wrong with everyone having the body types that they have. I'm just saying we also need to dress the body types that we have. And I don't think that this dress that accentuates the width of her bust line and the width of her waist while kind of narrowing in down her skinny little legs is the best way to display all she has to offer. I also just want to call attention to the fact that we can see the inside of this dress, and I'm not a tailor and I don't sew a lot. And so those of you who are more informed may feel that the inside of this dress is beautifully constructed, and so maybe my naive eye is calling foul what anybody else would say is fine. I feel that the hemline here, I'm not loving what I'm seeing here. This looks messy to me. It feels like the hemline and the lining of the dress, it feels bulky. Feels like this was a really quick re-hem or something. Like the whole dress feels like it's not well tailored. The whole dress feels like everything's just that much off. And it could be Megan in the dress. It could just be that the dress isn't as well made as it might be. This fabric seems very unforgiving. You'll look right along here at the bust line, this kind of gathering, like where the lining and the exterior fabric are kind of not laying very well. This fabric does not seem forgiving. It doesn't seem like you could make a mistake, or it could be, you know, some last minute tailoring could be hidden. It seems very, very problematic to use. Not user friendly, this fabric. Then we have the question of this long cape thing she's wearing, this shawl slash cape slash strange wrap for the night. She had to have somebody walking around behind her in the street to like lift it up and carry it. Very much the sort of thing that someone who feels that they should be announced upon the entrance of a room would have. Now, granted, I know that all of these celebrities, like there's people and stylists and stuff that come with them. So this isn't like distinct to Meghan Markle. It's just that knowing she has people who do announce her entrance and then seeing somebody like holding her train behind her, it's all like, how the high and mighty do live, you know. Anyway, this person still wasn't able to do their job because look how rumpled this looks. This doesn't look amazing. And also, it's not as sumptuous as it might be. And also just the visual of looking at her wandering around with this black shadow sort of following behind her. I'm like, is that the soul of Harry? It's kind of stark. This black thing kind of undulating behind her like grim death. I don't know. It just seems like it wouldn't have been like my first choice. I do love the idea of a sumptuous velvet cape. And we've seen Margot Robbie, who has done a lot of method dressing for the Wuthering Heights PR campaign. But she came out with something sort of similar to this. It was red, and it's very like arresting. The way the light shimmers on the velvet, it's really stunning. And so I can imagine that Meghan was hoping to do something similar, but it falls flat, let me just tell you. It just falls flat. To match the black grim death cape and the piping on her dress, she was wearing black shoes and black accessories. The shoes. You guys, here's the thing. Again, seeing Meghan in something other than pantsuit was exciting. Seeing like her dress up for the part that she wants to play in life since she insists on being announced as the Duchess of Sussex, you just think we'd see more regality from her. So I am loving seeing something different on her. I'm just wondering why we're still doing things that don't work. Like having our toes hang out from the bottom of the dress is not a look. It just simply isn't. She was wearing the sandal that, you know, very strappy, an ankle strap and a toe strap, and then it's just like her bare feet. I feel this strongly, that if I were to go on the red carpet, the pedicure that I would have if I felt the necessity to expose my toes in January, this just doesn't feel regal, seeing her feet peeking out, like her whole foot. It's not like she was wearing a peep toe or something. It's like her whole foot's just hanging out from underneath her dress. I don't find it super flattering for her. I just don't. Now, as a person who has extraordinarily large feet, I understand probably like thinking that she could, like I'm thinking maybe she thinks she'll diminish the size of her foot if she doesn't add more bulk to it by putting a shoe on. You know, like maybe she feels like a pointy-toed shoe would make her feet look too long, or maybe a rounded toe she thinks makes her feet look too wide. I mean, I don't know what it is that she's trying to do, but her insistency on wearing strappy shoes, I don't understand. This is a person who has dragged relentlessly for the bunions on her feet, and it is clear she's had surgery to remove those bunions. So perhaps it's a middle finger to all the people who said she had ugly feet. She's like, they're actually beautiful now. I don't know, but I'm just telling you, I feel for a regal event, obviously she was going with the satin and the velvet and the big jeweled earrings. I'm thinking you would want to go for a shoe that was just a little bit more elevated than toes splayed out everywhere, hanging over the end of your shoe, as they always seem to do. Because whose toes wouldn't hang over the end of the shoe when you're standing on a shoe that's this tall? I mean, gravity is a thing. You're going to slide down the front of your shoe whether you want to or not. That's just how it works. So I don't know. I just feel like I wish something had happened here. Now let's talk about the jewelry and the hairstyle. I cannot fathom why Meghan has got into her pretty little head that she needs to always slick her hair back into this bun. It is not doing her any favors, especially in a dress like this, because she's not wearing a necklace. So she could have gotten away with wearing her hair down and letting her hair be the accessory, because it's a lot of space between her neck and the top of her dress. It's a lot of space. All I'm saying is I think a necklace would have been a great addition to what feels like a blank canvas here. Especially because she chose not to wear her hair down. And, you know, it appears that her natural hair is quite sparse, as we've discussed many times. We are using some pretty jacked up extensions that look like they're from 2001. But also just the circumference of that ponytail. And look, as a person who actually has super thin hair myself, like I have thin hair, but I know how to wear it so it doesn't look like it's thin. But like all of my hair could probably, fit through the width of a dime. I mean, my hair is super thin too. It's very fine. And so I understand a person, we don't all have these voluptuous locks. We would love to all, be having Disney princess hair. But all of the people in Hollywood, they don't have awesome hair. They have wigs, and they have very good wigs. And I don't understand why Meghan would not employ some wigs for this, specific event. Like, she could have the most amazing, beautiful wigs, since she's friends with the Kardashians, as she'd have us to believe. Call whoever's putting the wigs on those girls, because those people have mastered the art of the wig. And all celebrities wear wigs. Like, every single celebrity who you've ever been like, oh, they have beautiful hair. Wigs. Wigs. So to me, it just feels like, I don't understand why we're insisting on scraping our hair back against our scalp every single time. And again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier. She has decided in her mind there are certain things that are elegant, and she cannot seem to deviate from those things. Her lack of creativity is shocking, which is how we know she'll never be successful. She's not a risk taker. She's not even a risk taker enough to do her hair in a different way for a different event. How many times have we seen her, no matter where she is, scrape your hair back into a severe bun and call it a day? For an event like this, where she's gone out of her way to have a custom gown made, it would feel to me that she would have also considered hair and makeup. Her makeup is very minimal, which is fine. I think that, you don't have to be painted up like a clown, I think her makeup is tasteful and pretty. I like the color of her lipstick. She used to wear a lot more makeup than she does now. And when I look at this picture of her from 2013 versus this picture now, I think her makeup is more becoming. It seems like they got the shade of her bronzer correct this time, so I think her makeup was really tasteful. So compliments where compliments can be had, for sure. I just think that it would have been even more pretty if she'd worn her hair down in like flowy waves. I think that would have really complemented the romantic look that she was clearly going for here, with the sweetheart neckline and the long velvet cape. Valentine's Day is around the corner, and we're going for like Valentine's Day vibes, I guess she couldn't be bothered, just let's stick with what's safe. She was already way out of her wheelhouse putting on something that wasn't a silk shirt and a pair of pants. Creativity is just never going to be something that she can rely on. Was this like the worst thing I've ever seen her wear? By no means. I think that there are far worse things that she has worn. Again, I don't think this dress complimented her to the heights that it could have complimented her. I think the shape accentuated things that probably would have been better de-emphasized. But if she felt pretty in it, and it appears that she felt that she looked nice, like, quite frankly, like, who am I to be like, well, I didn't like the satin, I don't like the black velvet cape that looks like grim death. Maybe I just need to ease up. But I'll tell you where I'm not willing to ease up on this theme of the lack of creativity. I don't know where I was, but for 3 weeks I've somehow missed this story. You guys remember how we did talk about the fact that she has tried to repurpose those $17 bookmarks, and she's selling them as standalone items now. And there was a time when she was like trying to repackage them in like this like gift set, and she like made a big deal about like, mark the date, save the date, save the date, I got surprises. And then it was just like, hey, you guys want to buy a bundle? We've got tea, honey, and bookmarks. You can like live your best cozy core life. And we were all like, but wait a second. Haven't we seen that bookmark before? And it used to come free with a different bundle. But now we have to pay $17 for this bookmark. But it got much worse when I realized, after sort of doing some research about these bookmarks, that the manufacturer who makes it, from what I've heard, not real leather. Okay. Because we're like, if I'm going to pay $17 for something, I'm going to need high quality materials here. Okay. I do not want your synthetic petroleum, whatever. Anyway, $17 you're paying. But even if it was real leather, we can't get behind this plagiarism here. Okay. We cannot. We must stand firm. And of course, Meghan is a person who we've known plagiarizes many a thing in the past. I mean, she like plagiarized this whole speech. So the fact that she couldn't come up with a little saying for her own bookmark, not shocked. Not shocked. But she had stamped on these bookmarks, fell asleep here. And of course, she thought that was delightfully cunning. But as it turns out, this manufacturer who makes the bookmarks had already sold a different version of that leather bookmark stamped not in Megan's calligraphy, and I use that term loosely, calligraphy. No, this was just like block letters, fell asleep here on a leather bookmark. But Megan would have you believe that this leather bookmark, supple leather, beautiful, full grain, stamped in gold, fell asleep here, how cunning, was all her idea. No. She just kind of changed the vibe, changed the shape, had it done in her own lettering, and put her hideous as ever stamp on it. And now she's trying to sell it for $17. But I'm just so offended by the fact that even what it says wasn't something that she came up with, that this manufacturer already had this bookmark idea in production. She just repackaged it for herself and then wants to charge you $17 for it when she used to give it away for free in a different bundle. What is this? Someone describe to me what I'm looking at. I believe the word is con artist, but not a very good one. Because everything that she is now bundling up for Valentine's Day is clearly product that she could not sell, just like with the bookmark that nobody wants. Nobody is out here willing to shell out $17 for a leather bookmark. Can I just remind her about the economy? How do I have room in that budget for your $17 ripoff leather bookmark that isn't even really leather? Come back to earth, Megan. I know you love to tell us that you were so poor back in your day and that you and your mom did very little besides try to scrape together couch change so you could go spend $5 at the salad buffet at Sizzler. But let me tell you about the way the real world works, okay? There are people who really are living like that. I want to know how it is that you feel that you should repackage some bookmarks that you used to give away for free to the masses at $17 a pop, an idea that you didn't even come up with. I mean, truly for shame, I say to you. But she's doing the same thing with these chocolates that she launched around Christmas time as like a stocking stuffer, right? And these chocolates are made by a chocolatier in Los Angeles. And when I tell you that the whole vibe of the store is gimmicky, it's like such gimmicky chocolate. Like, I don't care if it's high-end. I don't care if it's expensive. It's just silly, And of course, they're over there trying to hop on the Dubai chocolate trend. But then, like, everything. Like, just look at these. Like, let me just scroll through this with you, okay? What are we looking at here? Silliness, foolishness. These flavors are just like whatever flew into somebody's drug-addled brain. So for Megan to hustle on over there and get these chocolate bars made by them, and they're putting together such kooky ideas as white chocolate, hemp hearts, and flower sprinkles. I mean, if there was one place that was willing to go to the strange places that Megan wants to go to with food, it was this crazy company. So she's getting her chocolate bars made over there, but I'm telling you, she had too many made. Because now she's trying to act like, you guys, they're back. I was able to, on bended knee, figure out a way to get this chocolate back to you guys. I know it's such a hit. But of course, as we discussed last time, she's over there having to make these kooky little videos with Harry while he pretends to select the white chocolate from the selection offered him. And it's interesting because, as somebody else pointed out, we don't see him eating it. We don't see him enjoying it. He just picks it out in the most disgustingly like girly way, just like, oh, that's lovely, I'll take that one, yes ma'am. It's like, Harry, do you have something to tell us? Anyway, he doesn't even eat it, so we don't even get a taste endorsement on this. I haven't seen anybody eating this. I don't know anybody. Should I buy some of this chocolate and see what it tastes like, you guys? Should we do that? Maybe we should. I don't know though. I just can't get into the bee pollen of it all. I know that's supposed to be like a health food, but if I'm eating chocolate, I'm not really looking for my health food opportunity, Anyway, I don't know. Maybe we should do that. It might be interesting because I haven't seen anybody trying this. I don't know. Is it good? Maybe it is. I like some chocolate. These flavor combinations, though, it just feels like Lame City. Anyway, she's just repackaging this, trying to make us feel like we are lucky us, we get a second opportunity. And don't worry if it slipped you by at Christmas time. Don't worry. And I'm like, girl, you've got warehouses of this stuff. And yet you keep like making these bundles and like, you guys, I've got something new. And it's like, a new configuration of your trash for us? Some other way for you to use the pallets of rabbit food that you have in a warehouse somewhere? Like, stop trying to convince us that you're doing us a favor by giving us a new bundle. Like, I can't figure out, I can't like fill my own cart. If I go on asever.com, I can't figure out how to make the conglomeration of goodies from your store that meet my needs. I need you to keep repackaging them and repurposing them in new bundles. If she doesn't want us to talk about the fact that she obviously has warehouses full of stuff that she's trying to sell us in a new way, then she's going to have to start giving us new products. Because every time she tells me to save the date and it's yet one more reconfiguration of the trash she already has, all that does is confirm to me that she got nothing. You know what I'm saying? She's got nothing. If you just had more money than you knew what to do with, and you were such a marketing genius, and you were truly the female founder that, crowns them all, we wouldn't be doing this kind of crackerjack foolishness. Duchess of Clowntown is what we have here. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate that you would hang out with me to see what Megan's been up to, and we will get back together. Tomorrow, we're going to discuss Savannah Guthrie's mother. There was some huge changes, some really interesting details that came out over the weekend, and I do want to discuss that with you, including some things that are quite alarming. I know that last time we talked, I dismissed the connection between Savannah Guthrie and the Epstein files that were released right after her mother's kidnapping, but there have been some new developments and some new conversations that have me raising my eyebrows, and they are pretty weird. So we do need to discuss. We'll be careful with what we're saying. We're not trying to add fuel to any kind of conspiracist flame. I can be convinced of some things, but I got to see a lot of evidence before I'm willing to jump down any kind of kooky rabbit hole. I know you guys don't believe me because I've told you guys some crazy things, but I've done a lot of research before to ever say anything like that to you. So I don't want to perpetrate conspiracy about the Guthrie family. I think it would be incredibly painful if I was already going through something hard and then everyone was piling onto my family. So I want to be careful not to do that. But I do think that some of the questions that have been raised are worth mentioning to you. And we can discuss that, and we are going to discuss that tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow for everything that we know so far about the Guthrie situation. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.